meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right, first up, we have the consent agenda. Questions on the consent?
The only thing I would ask, Susan, is there any particular reason why we're approving a hire from Thriving Families Alliance? Scott, are you on that board?
Well, I don't know why we're,
Well, because we do their payroll. So it's just a matter of getting their,
Onboarding onto the
onboard.
payroll
Yeah,
system.
You know, it's just one of those things you automatically do, but, I think we did it last year when she had to, there's some expansion going on. She had to hire some other, part-time help after, and this was for when, Scott Root, left last year, so she's got some administrative help. That's the only reason, just because we do their payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve as is.
Second.
Okay, motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion has carried. Scheduled sessions. John Rasmussen, engineer, final public hearing for Honeysuckle Road Special Assessment District. This is the final public hearing just because of the confusion on the way the agenda was published last week.
Sure. Never really know when the final one is, but I think we made all the decision we need to last week. So this will be the last call, so to speak.
So we need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Jay, second by Belt to go into public hearing. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Jorgensen.
Aye.
Shay.
Aye.
Belt.
Aye.
Whitman.
All right, John. Is there anyone on the phone that wants to speak? So raise your hand and you'll be admitted into the room.
Someone does?
Yes.
Awesome.
We're trying to connect.
Could he be muted himself?
He's got himself muted right now.
Chris needs to unmute.
We can't hear you, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Chris Pose. I'm an attorney in Des Moines. Office address it's not that anymore. 505 Fifth Avenue, Suite 1005 in Des Moines. Is this the hearing on the Honeysuckle Road matter?
Yes, it is.
Okay, my client just called me, and my clients are the Keeleys and their interest, and they wondered if the township that this is in is correct. Because it's listed in Garner Township and they're in Lake Township. And I don't know if you could have the county attorney or engineer confirm that. But my clients indicated that they just found out about the meeting this morning, and maybe that's why.
On the property descriptions, it says Lake
Yes.
Township. That's a political boundary. So they're actually in Garner where you see the township range and section. That's correct in Garner. So Lake Township's listed as a political boundary, but the physical boundary, I guess, would be in Garner Township. Did I say that right, Jamie?
Exact property, but yeah, there is a difference between the political townships and the townships and ranges.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And is this the schedule that breaks it down at 0% interest and, 10 payments? and the original $121,000 number. I haven't seen the packet, so I'd ask to confirm that.
Yeah, the resolution in the packet is 122,120 to the petitioners over 10 years. Then it's broke down further by the landowners.
Thank you.
Chris, could I get your last name again for the record?
Sure, it's P is in purple, O is in Oscar, S is in Samuel, E is in Edward.
Great.
It's, I'll wait until we close public. hearing.
Chris, was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, not at this time, Chairperson.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for the public hearing? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to close the public hearing. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
that's his chairperson. Will you make the chair?
It doesn't matter.
I know.
Don't make it a thing.
Supervisors Belt,
Aye.
Wickman,
Aye.
Kay,
Aye.
and Jorgensen. Aye.
All right. Next up, we have John Rasmussen.
I'll ask a couple questions if I can. To John. John, those, if you look at your parcel list, all of those parcels that say Lake Township, they're wrong. Did you talk to the attorney on what we'll do with that?
They're extra is what they are. So it says Lake Township because that's a political boundary. So when you collect the property tax for a township, they're paying Lake Township taxes. If you look at them also, it says, like section 7 township 7543, that's actually Garner. So the physical, there's maybe just extra information in there. I don't know that it's incorrect, but they're taxed in Lake Township, but they're still in Garner Township. So it's kind of confusing. I've been confused, and I don't know if I'm explaining it perfectly well, but the descriptions are correct as far as the township and range and the taxing township.
They're not correct according to the township because the parcels that are listed in Lake Township are in Garner Township.
Right,
I don't really care how they pay their taxes. This was to identify where the property is located.
right, it still does. So the 7543 identifies the township,
Which is Garner.
which is Garner.
Okay, we'll take a look at take a look at the first one on there.
Mhm.
Brandon Atkins. It says Lake Township. That is not in Lake Township, it's in Garner.
The political township is Lake. They are located in Garner. If you look at the map, there's a weird jog, so yes, probably the Lake Township was too much information for that, but it's not incorrect. They're taxing township. Their physical location still on that first one, it's section 6, T75 north and 43 west. So if you go on the map, that'll bring you to Garner Township.
Is this an anomaly throughout the county or?
Okay, so a township by PLSS is 36 sections, right? Garner is not 36 sections. Garner is only 30. The west 6 sections are not a part of that political township. So what John's saying is you get two almost similar names, but they're not exactly the same boundary. So Lake, Garner, Carson would be another example of a township that doesn't fit the mold of a 36 section township. The way they're described, I mean, I haven't looked at them, so I can't say, but the way they're described could be okay. Even if it says Lake Township or a section, 7, those could be synonymous with the same area. I don't know that they're right or wrong, but that is an anomaly, but it's not completely unusual either.
If the property was sold, it would be 7543 And this one is the south 554 feet of the west, whatever, section, the southwest corner of the southeast section. If you were to sell that property, it wouldn't say Lake Township on it, would it?
No.
Okay.
I don't think.
So Tim, one distinction that I can point out too is the descriptions that are used on this resolution are the tax assessment descriptions. They're not the true legal descriptions. So it's just a different way to describe the property. So from what I know and what I've seen of this, these descriptions are not incorrect because they are the tax assessment descriptions. If we wanted the true legal of this property, it's several sentences long that would be confusing and boring to say right now. But it's a much different property description than what the tax assessment description is, just because it's a little bit more concise to use the tax description. But they, from what I have seen, they are not incorrect.
I'm gonna go with what you have to say, but the property's not in Lake Township. So the actual property description, the actual legal, if you were to transfer that on a deed, it would not say Lake Township.
Generally, legal descriptions don't include the townships. So that would be true. You wouldn't have it on the deed.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to go into the discussion or decision to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution number 21-2024 to establish the Honeysuckle Road Special Assessment District. And along with those comments, in the resolution that's proposed, we make reference to Garner Township, and that is correct, the way that it's written. Okay. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
do we need to change that property description column to read tax assessment description?
I don't think so. A tax assessment description is one of the ways that we describe property. It's not the true legal description, but because it says property description, not legal description, I think we're okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Shay. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Jorgensen to approve for the board to sign resolution number 21-24 to establish the Honeysuckle Road Special Assessment District. Is there additional conversation? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairperson Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Swiftman.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Kay
Aye.
and Jorgensen.
Aye.
The property description is another confused issue I have, understanding. Okay, and so I don't know if this needs to be rectified or something done about it. I don't know. No.
There are just a few different ways to describe property. We use different methods in different situations. It's confusing all across the board, so
Okay.
we're not the only one that does it confusingly. It's
Oh, okay, all right,
across the
okay.
state. Use it.
Okay. All right.
I would add to that, the property descriptions used for our tax assessment are generally shortened and abbreviated to accommodate what we have for software. And I mean, you could have a 3-page legal description that has meets and bounds calls for pages, and it's shortened to be a part of the Northwest Section 754316 parcel C. So you see that sometimes in the property descriptions for making it easier for all of us to handle those records and to process them without overburdening our need to keep that information in another place.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was an instance where a very sharp attorney could take advantage of that confusion in some fashion.
I think there are a lot of attorneys who would have liked to have shortened it a long time ago, but it's impossible at this point.
Okay, all right.
I have a very sharp attorney.
If I could fix it, I absolutely would, but I 100% doubt that would ever
Okay.
happen.
All right. Just ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Rasmussen, engineer, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize the chairperson to sign a right-of-way contract with Gerald Casey in the amount of $4,093.90. Have the contract in our file. John, can you give us a look?
Sure. So we were doing some work in the area and we found that the road wasn't built on the existing right of way. So we thought we should make it right with the owner and purchase the land the road was actually on. So some of those easements were, established 100 years ago. Well, the road either wasn't built there, or didn't creep there. We had no record of how the road got where it was. So this is kind of a correction for that owner. They weren't really aware of it themselves either. So just like to clean these things up when we find them.
But it's not a highway, it's gravel.
It's a gravel road.
Is that down on Dumfries area?
No, it's out east,
Oh, okay.
quite a ways, right? Is it 500th or,
520.
yeah, it's as far east as we can get, but we're just working in that area and then we didn't have right of way for what the road was on.
Scary.
It happens more
Yeah. Oh, God.
a lot, I think 100 years ago, they just built a road and I'm not sure they did the paperwork, but we fix them when we find them.
Goes around the hill. Right, any other questions?
I'm good.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Belt, second by Jorgensen, to approve and authorize the chairperson to sign the right-of-way contract with Gerald Casey in the amount of $4,093.90. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Chairman Miller, had more confusion to our previous discussion. We've got a motion by Shea and Jorgensen to approve, but we don't have a motion to approve the resolution according to the script.
We blotted out the third, after the public hearing. We do not need that motion.
Okay, so the Shea Jorgensen should be regarding the resolution.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
That was redundant.
Yes, that's what I thought, but didn't know if we needed.
I forgot to tell you that.
That's right.
Okay, moving on. John Rasmussen, engineer, award the Tide L-2022 Dumfries -73-78 and L-2022 for 240th 7378 projects to Peterson Contractors, Inc. And last week we opened the sealed bids.
Last week opened the bids for that project. PCI or Peterson Contractors Inc. was the apparent low bidder at the time. We checked the math. They are the low bidder for $2,236,617.94. So after you award it, we'll seek a contract with them and bond and certificate of insurance, and I'll be back to have the board sign that once that paperwork's done.
John, you've worked with this company before.
Yes, they've been in the county for a while now.
To move.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Motion by Wickman, second by Belt, to approve and award the Dumfries and the 240th Street projects to Peterson Contractors, Inc. Is there additional discussion?
John, did they give you a start date?
No, I haven't got that yet.
Estimated start date?
Can't really talk stuff like that until I have the contract done. So as soon as I get the contract done, we'll turn around and do that.
Did they, in their bid, did they put in there the days, how many days they thought it was gonna take to get to completion?
We specified that up front. I can't recall. I think April 15th was the start date, and I think we asked for that to start early, so they might start earlier than that, but
Okay, when you bring that back for us to sign, you have those answers for me?
yes.
Thank you very much.
Can we invite rural water in to give us an update on the water connection down in that area so that we're not digging up concrete to put in water lines?
Yeah, I haven't really done a lot with rural water. They had a set of these plans. So when rural water locates, they locate outside of the right of ways on private property. So we shouldn't have any conflicts. Probably the segment I'm worried about is when we go to pave, if we get this done in our lifetime, from 240th North Pioneer Trail trying to figure out where they locate there, because that's when we could have the conflict in that future project. But they know where our work was, and they were planning just to avoid us. So we shouldn't have any conflicts with rural water on this. It's future projects, I guess, all the way from Minden down when they locate that line.
So Peterson pulling dirt down there now.
I don't think they have been. I think they've been moving. So they're on the Google site now. I think they're just moving dirt within the Google site now. I don't think they're hauling out Pioneer Trail currently.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by Wickman and a second by Belt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, John, for all your work this week on these projects.
I know that one wrapped up. Not against, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Next up, Jason Slack, Director, Buildings and Grounds, discussion and or decision to award bid to construct a jail maintenance building. We have 3 bids in our packets. Jason?
We got 3 bids. Cormacy Construction was low bid at $344,282. They specified 120 days to completion. And I did talk to them. Cormacy would be able to mobilize on 3/18, and they expect to start the week of the 25th this month.
Still predicting with that early start, it'll take them 4 months to get it finished.
I think they're giving themselves a little bit of room.
Jason, are you concerned about these footings? They sure seem to be. There's a lot of garbage down there.
I'm not concerned. I mean, we've got the structural engineer drawings, you know, as long as they follow that, we should be good to go.
Okay,
So, there could be complications, you know, depending on what they run into in the earth out there. But I don't expect to, you know, once they're done.
wondering about overages on this.
Yeah, it's always a possibility. But if there's any way that we can mitigate that by taking care of any of the trash removal, thing like that ourselves, we will.
Okay.
Jason, in the specs, did it call for a bid bond or a 5% check from the total cost of the project?
It's not uncommon to see them enclose a check for 5% in lieu of the bid bond. No,
Specifications allow that?
yes.
Was that your recommendation, Jason?
It is.
I'll move that for you, Susan.
Thanks, Tim.
I'll second.
A motion by Wickman, a second by Jorgensen to award the bid to Cormacy Construction Inc. for the construction of the jail maintenance building. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Next up, Jamie Peterson, Coordinator GIS, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize the board chairperson to sign agreement with MAPPA to obtain digital map products for aerial photography.
So this is the long-awaited final step, pre-flight for our MAPPA arrangement for aerial photos. This is the first of 6 projects that will run through this NIROC program. And yeah, this is just the last stage of that to get the board to sign off on all the conversations and meetings we've had on this topic. And so, yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions on this. At this stage, this agreement would be similar to prior MAPPA agreements that we've gone through. This will happen once for every project. So we will go through this process through an MOU or an agreement like this every year, but they will be similar in their nature.
So this agreement, we can either pay it in a lump sum of $348,900 or in installments.
Yeah, so to speak to that, they would allow us to pay it all up front. The payment schedule is a balanced payment schedule though. So, and And in one of my notes, what you might not see, the balance part of it, we'll have 2 additional flights prior to the 2026 payment. So that's why that third payment in their itemized or their schedule doesn't match the first 2 years, because technically, as we sign this today, that's all we would owe if we just quit and didn't go forward with any other projects. By the time we get to the 2026 payment in July, we will owe exactly how much we've owed for the prior years. So that payment will be steady, hopefully for a long, long time. Does that answer your question?
Did we put it in the budget?
This is in the budget
Okay, for this year,
for this year for when our payment would be due, we will have
correct?
For the full balance.
for the first payment that's listed on that term, it's 152,000, I believe, is what I have budgeted, but I guess to cover the first payment of that schedule will be that way for 6 years. That first number that you see on there, the 151, that's generally the number that will be due every year in July. And like I said, the 2026 payment will accrue future flight cost into it. But the next 2 flights are our less expensive variety. And so by the time each payment is due, the amount is balanced across. It's essentially taking the total of the 6-year project, dividing it and giving us a balanced payment.
Makes sense.
That's your recommendation, right, Jamie?
My recommendation.
Did you review that, Kristen?
I did.
Are you good with it?
Yep.
You need a motion for that, Susan?
I do.
So move.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Motion by Wickman, second by Jorgensen, to approve and authorize the board chairperson to sign the agreement with MAPPA to obtain digital map products, aerial photography, and the payment of the first installment of $151,650. Additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you very much. And I would just add, MAPPA's request was to have 2 signed copies of page 4 with chairperson's signature and signature next to it. And they will sign on their end both copies and return one to us for our record. So if I could get, Susan, if I could get your signature on 2 copies of page 4, and I actually have a version of that if you need it additionally.
Yep, I'll just make a copy of this one before I sign it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anxious to see how this works.
Yeah, they, so
It's gonna be
conditions
neat.
are really good right now for flying outside of it's still early in the season. Our sun angles aren't above 30, which is part of the contract. Like right now, if you went out today, you could fly between 9 and 3 and expect to hit that sun angle. Anything less, then you're gonna have shadows that would be taller than the objects themselves. So they actually started flying today in Lancaster County and some of the western Nebraska entities that are part of the larger project. We're looking more towards the end of March, but I'll keep you all updated as that goes forward. So yeah, it's exciting to get that going.
Yeah.
The leaves are already coming out.
Yeah, so, and some of the grass, I don't know if it ever died. It seems like it's still, we like a little green grass, but no, it's,
Sure.
yeah.
We're looking for a long-term partnership with this company.
Yeah, this is, yeah, and we go back with pictometry back in 2013. MAPPA has been in the contracting part of it for this 6-year cycle and the previous 6-year cycle. Prior to that, we were still with the NIROC consortium, but MAPPA wasn't involved. That was a straight county to county contract there. So MAPPA's involvement has been good. Some of those reasons that I listed, their ability to leverage these funds for federal transportation dollars is really the strong point of them facilitating that contract, is it allows them to match that money for Western Iowa transportation projects as well. So that's something that we can't leverage that they can.
Jamie, when would you start getting results from those flyovers?
June,
Okay,
that's my estimate.
Okay.
Unless they start, typically it's June. It could be a month earlier this year. That wouldn't be unusual. This will be our largest deliverable of the 6 flights we do. So There's a lot of products that go along with that, building footprints, change detection for assessment. And so all of those projects were all rolling together. The first thing we get are the images though, and they release those upfront within a couple of weeks, and then they send you the final post-processed images, usually in June. So that's my expectation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right, Jana Limerick, Director, Human Resources, discussion and or decision on approval of modification of environmental education job description and associated pay. This is for the Conservation Board.
That is correct. Good morning. The environmental education position that we're talking about today, we're asking for it to move from pay grade 520, which is $25.31 an hour to $33.21 an hour. We would like to move it to pay grade 521. And the reason for that is because the positions that this job supervises is starting to creep up, and we wanted to make sure that there's enough room in there regarding pay for to show that there's a difference and then who they're supervising. So we'd like to move it to pay grade 521.
What's the starting wage of 520, Jenna?
520, $25.31 an
What's the
hour.
what's the starting wage of 521?
$26.20 an hour.
Who's in this position now?
This is Amy.
Amy Kapagnan?
Mm-hmm.
And a master's degree is preferred.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to approve the modification of the environmental education job description and associated pay of. How do we want this motion?
520 to 521.
Because then a status change form will follow for the employee, moving the employee into that pay grade, but we had to get the job description approved first before we can then put the employee, because if it goes on your receive and file before we have the job description approved, so the status change form for the employee will be following.
All we're doing, Susan, is approving the job description, not the pay. Oh, I mean,
The
the
pay
pay
grade,
is commensurate with the change from 520 to 521.
right? Okay. All right, so is there additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Right, we have a next one for modification of the tax and deed specialist job description.
That's correct. So in your packet, the job description, you'll see changes at the top. They're not changes, but they weren't ever in there. So for example, the grade wasn't on the job description, the exemption status wasn't on the job description. So that's not change, we're just adding that. So I mean, we're not changing the exemption status or changing the grade, but if you look down under.
Just getting it on the job.
Yes, thank you, Melvin. We're just getting it on the job description, but the change is down under the essential education certifications and licenses. As it reads today, it's asking for 2 years experience working with real estate legal descriptions required. We're asking to have that change to read preferred.
And this is the position that's currently open.
Correct.
Correct. The position, the posting has closed for that, but what we were seeing is that we have qualified applicants, which we feel that they're qualified applicants, but maybe don't meet that required, that 2 years required. And after speaking with Melvin, we feel that it could be changed to preferred and still have qualified applicants and a qualified employee in that position.
Jenna, grade 15, step 1, do you have any idea what the meeting is?
Sorry, I didn't write that one down. I'm gonna,
This position here.
right, step 1.
Is around $20 an hour.
That's what was gonna be my guess, 19 or 20.
So it'll be the same pay as what the previous employee had.
Correct.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept these changes.
Second.
Motion by Jorgensen, second by Bell to approve the modification of the tax and deed specialist job description. Melvin, this was okay with you?
Yeah, I'd ask her to, well, she mentioned it to me that, we should probably change, modify that, job description, so I asked her to put it on the agenda.
Great, thank you.
It just makes, hiring a lot easier because it's really tough finding leader experience. At that, okay, great.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The next one is Jana Limerick, discussion and or decision on approval of job description, part-time WIC program travel nutrition educator.
And so this is a new position that we're asking the board to approve. So, and you have in your packets the letter from Chris because she wasn't able to make it. The letter is justifying the reason for this new position. So she has a part-time dietitian that we have had posted for months. It's a difficult position to fill. Being a dietitian, you do have to have very specific education, internships, and such. It's a part-time position and it's a traveling position as well, going out to the other counties that we serve. So it's a difficult position to fill. But these services need to be done. And so I think Chris did a really great job in trying to look at, well, what else can we do to make sure that these services are met? And so by having a nutrition educator, this position doesn't require the employee to be a dietitian. It requires them still to have some education, but they don't have that internship piece that then puts them over to be a dietitian, but yet they can still perform 95% of the job by just being the nutrition educator. So we are dropping it down by one pay level because it doesn't require that specific dietitian experience, but it will still meet the needs of the citizens that need this service. And through her posting, the job posting of the dietitian, we feel that we do have a candidate that didn't meet the dietitian job description, but would meet this one. So if this is approved, she may be able to hire quickly and get someone out there on the road doing
I'll
this
make a
job.
motion to approve those changes.
Motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to approve the job description for the part-time WIC program travel nutrition educator. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Jana. Work on them. Any appointments? Any updates from board members from meetings last week?
Went to the bike trail. And with the sheriff, we all went to the Pot County Farm Bureau luncheon. And there was a levy safety meeting over at EMA. I was there. I forgot to write something else down. So,
Thanks, Brian. Jeff, do you have anything to add?
No, I was also at the Farm Bureau meeting. It's good. That was a good get together, right?
always is.
Yeah, I appreciate those meetings.
Yep, anything? A couple of meetings that aren't on the schedule that's on the agenda is I've got a Golden Hills RC&D meeting this afternoon at 3:00 and a Thriving Families meeting on Friday.
Our meeting, yesterday.
Oh, and Melvin and I went to Iowa Western Community College yesterday and spoke with 2 students and about 45 of their faculty members about the importance of elections and volunteer service and how they can get involved. And just basically the difference between federal, state, and county government and the different levels of responsibility. It was a good dialogue.
Yeah, it was, they have these lunch and learns, and so, I learned a lot.
And their real concern on campus is about voter apathy and the students.
Making efforts now to, try to get kids, to register. I think today they're having a registration day.
Right.
Get them, registered to vote.
Did you say 2 students and 45 faculty?
Correct.
Yeah, the kids.
Kind of thought it'd be the other way around.
You would
No.
hope it would be.
Just asking, do students typically re-register their residency, like Iowa Western Potawatomi County or
I
whatever,
don't
if they're
know.
if they're not from out of town,
couldn't tell you what the proportion is, whether these kids at Iowa State, whether they Story County or whether they absentee back home.
I thought they'd done their home.
They can do-
Way
they
back
can-
years ago.
They can,
Just
they
kept
can,
it at home.
they can do either one.
Is that
But
the
if-
way it was?
But if they're a resident for
Goes
4
way
years
back.
in Story County, they could vote there. You can ask Andrew that because he was working, when he was in school, working for the Story County auditor in elections and, I don't know what the percentage is.
There were a lot of questions yesterday about voter integrity and protection of the ballots, and Melvin did a good job of fielding all of those questions.
And if you, yeah, and I think I got one person who might want to be a precinct election official, one of the faculty or administrative staff there. I couldn't get the student to volunteer, but no, it's, but what they came away with was if you really want to understand elections, you have to volunteer and work. Whether it's on the absentee board or just opening ballots. Well, Scott and Justin helped there back in, 2020, was in here opening ballots. I mean, it's just the rigorous, rules that we have on how to do that is beyond me, that how we do that.
A couple of years ago, we went out to ESS. Remember that tour? That really helped me a lot
Yeah.
with the integrity of.
Yeah. We didn't
Their
get,
system.
we didn't get into cybersecurity much and the voting equipment, but I guess I could have. But I think their biggest concern was getting the student apathy corrected. They just don't have.
we were asked to come out to Iowa Western, it's been several years ago now, but to explain to the students what the Iowa caucuses are all about. And there was a lot of, at least on the Republican side, there was a lot of interest from, I bet there was 30-some students there
Okay,
wanting to hear, what the caucus are about. They had no idea. They didn't know how to participate. So that was a very good educational meeting. So I appreciated the invite
Yeah.
to go out there.
And they're planning some additional lunch and learns in October that they hope will bring in more students. As it gets closer to the election. All right, moving to public comments. Did anyone sign up?
I did not see any signatures on this sheet.
All right, well, thank you for attending.
With that, Jen, I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 20.1 compared to for discussion, decision, and labor negotiations, collective bargaining matters.
I'll second.
A motion by Wickman, a second by Jorgensen to go into closed session for discussion and or decision on labor negotiations, collective bargaining matters. Melvin, roll call, please.
Member Miller.
Aye.
Supervisor Schlickman.
Aye.
Bell.
See you guys.
Letter.
Jorgensen.
Aye.